How y'all all? Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with you. It's Open Forum Friday. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program. Now, I'm going to take a call, but we do have a clip from Hannity and Trump dealing with terrorism. And like Brandon says, my God, somebody, this is great. This is great stuff. I mean, you don't hear this from Republicans. You don't hear this from tough people.
Well, you hadn't heard it the past 8 years.
No, Brandon, I don't remember hearing it during Bush either. Not like this. Yeah. Would you agree with that? Not like this.
This was easily see, Bush did a good job though of tapping into the patriotism, and I think this taps into not just the toughness, but it taps into the patriotic aspect, as opposed to what we've been hearing, where we've done wrong things in the past and we got to fix this. And
what does that mean? That mean that we pull for the Patriots next week?
Let's not do that. I'm rooting against the Falcons. I'm not pulling for the Patriots.
Oh, well, so let's go back to how I voted. I voted. Boy, we could have this conversation off there, on there. It would be awesome.
We could.
Just for entertainment value, by the way. Just for entertainment value. All right, Brad, appreciate it. Brett and Colfax. How you doing, Brett?
Good, man. How are you today?
I'm hanging in there, sir.
Apologize if my voice a little rough. May have a touch of the crud.
You sound great. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to mention, televised debate between Vitter and Edwards. Every time David Vitter tried to get Edwards to talk about the problems of Louisiana, John Bell Edwards would bring up the hooker. It happened
all he had.
Repeatedly. Now, if David Vitter had been astute enough to put it back in his face, he could have said, John Bell, you've been deployed overseas a number of times. How many hookers have you lain with? And that would have stopped the man in his tracks, because it's a common thing that occurs with servicemen, unfortunately, both married, single, that they go and they look for other women. And John Bell Edwards has proven that he has nothing as governor, because he has not suggested the first cut in the expenditures in his administration.
Yeah. Well, look, all I know about this governor is that he is for taxes on everything, anything, and all things. He's going to grow this state government, and he can't do it without Republicans. And they talk about him being in the Republican Party. We got enough Benedict Arnold Republicans, and that's what they are, that are going to give in to the tax votes. And I'm telling you, these Benedict Arnold Republicans need to be brought to their knees in the next election. If we could beat 80% of them, if you beat 80% of them, you'll scare the hell out of the rest of them.
I'll tell you, one of the unfortunate things in Louisiana government is that when a representative casts a vote, once the measure has passed or been defeated, the representative, if it does not change the outcome, measure being passed or defeated, he can petition to have his vote changed on the record.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what is reported.
Yeah.
Not what his initial thoughts.
No, in the House, Brett, you're correct. They're still changing votes. Talked to Dr. Frank Hoffman about this right after they voted during Jindal. And I said, y'all not only can change votes, you made it legal. And he was supposed to get back to me about that, and that was 9 years ago. Never heard from him. And matter of fact, and then I found out Frank Hoffman, God bless him, I know him, he's really a good guy now. Good Christian man. I'm not arguing with that. But what he did was he was the worst abuser of it a year before last, the worst abuser of changing your vote. And this is a guy that said, oh, no, we fixed that. You didn't fix it. You made it legal.
I owe you a piece of research, Moon. I brought something up on your program. You suggested that I look at a certain aspect. I said I would, and I would get back to you. I haven't had the time to do the research, but I am going to get back to you with an answer.
All right, brother. Thanks for the call. Appreciate the call. By the way, Brandon, just a little shout-out to my hunting buddies, these guys that don't have to work for a living, Jade Andrus, Todd Nunez, Chris Savoy, and Paul Bellard. They send me pictures of hunting. They like to dog me while they're playing and I'm working. But the bottom line is they never work. They don't have real jobs. So they go play. What is today? Friday. Most people are doing what? Working. Not these guys. Not these goons. These goons out there out there playing. Now, we'll give them a little credit.
Mm-hmm.
They do have the Moon Griffon show on, so they're not all bad.
If it makes you feel any better, my wife has a job where she basically gets to be off on Fridays. So she doesn't dog me, but I hear from her constantly about being off and how much she loves being off on Fridays. I'm sure you do.
Well, one of them just texted me back.
Yeah.
But you cannot use words like this on there.
Oh, no. Do I need to be able
so
to
I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to tell you which one texted me
I'm
back.
curious what it is, though. You know, you could just show me.
No, you don't.
I don't want to see
that. You ever heard somebody say you don't know and you don't want to know?
Yeah. Well, you could technically say that on the air. You just don't want to say the whole thing.
Not touching that because I do believe these people have good families.
Yeah.
Okay, even though they never go to work. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. A lot of stuff going on. We were all going to play some Trump stuff from Hannity, and one of them, when he's dealing with ISIS and he's dealing with terrorism, he's so plain about it, it makes so much sense. Now, universities bracing for cuts, they shifting the cost to the students. One thing in this article that I'm laughing at, it says higher education budget in Louisiana has stayed the same, $2.5 billion for the past decade, but the start contributions have declined significantly from $1.2 billion in 2006 to $919 million for 2016, 2017. Here's what the press never lets you know. They never tell you how many fees were increased over those 10 years. Tremendously. I had kids in school, and they don't tell you how the tuition's gone up. They don't tell you all that stuff. And they don't tell you how much more we're paying in that the state's not paying for anymore. And that's the number nobody wants to talk about, and it's why I say they're not down that far at all when you really think about it. But they'll keep bickering. Oh, great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Brandon, the boudin-eating Como is pressing buttons. You're going to grease all the buttons with that much boudin.
I got a link for each hand.
You did. He was trying to press it with his pinky to get me on the air. And, we have technical difficulty. I'm going to just send out Brandon's eating boudin again. Rice slipped in between the deal. Golly, Brandon. Oh, my God. Sometimes it hurts to be me. Anyway, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Open forum Friday, a day you can talk about the things you want to talk about. By the way, Mark Ballard out with another piece. Louisiana College University bracing for cuts, shift of cost to students. This has been going on since Jindal got in, and it's going on under Bell Edwards. Okay? The shift has been they've taken money from higher ed. Let me show you. Let me see how simple I can make this. Here's a higher ed fund, and here's the people. As they've taken money from higher ed, they shifted the burden to you and me. Now, by the way, I'm not saying it shouldn't be that, but quit telling. I don't know if Greg Hilbin wrote a piece yet, because then I know it was a lie. But quit telling us that higher ed doesn't have as much money as they had and they're not growing, because that's not true. They can show you where they cut the state budget. I'm not arguing with that. But they don't talk about the fees that were raised. And by the way, TOPS never covered that. They don't talk about when tuition goes up and people were on TOPS. Guess what happened? The state had to pay more. I just think that what happens with this stuff is they write this, and it's all how many college professors make six figures? Some of the biggest jobs in this state are universities, and some of the best paychecks are at universities. Let me give you an example. House education budget in Louisiana stayed at $2.5 billion for the past decade. I just mentioned it to you. But the state's contribution has declined significantly from $1.2 billion to $919 million. But what they don't tell you is the amount of money on students has gone up just proportionally just as much. They just don't tell you that. Southern states appropriate 43% of cost of college students. In Louisiana, at the time, Louisiana paid for 35%, leaving individual students for 65%. But that was a couple years ago. Our students are now paying 72%. Now, look, people call this program all the time and say, Moon, we ought to get rid of TOPS. I understand that. I understand your feeling on that. I don't want to pay for that. 72%. Okay, I'm understanding all that. That's good. But the point being is this. They're not telling us the whole story. How much have they really cut? How many people have lost their jobs? Have we cut payroll? Have we cut payroll on people making high six figures? Nobody talks about that except me. And they're not going to. The sad thing is they really don't want to fix anything, folks. Anytime they tell you we need taxes, this is all you got to remember. If they need new taxes, it's because they want to keep everything just as it is. Okay? Everything just as it is. Period. Let's go to Ruston. We'll go to Chuck. Chuck, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Sounding good this morning, man.
I'm hanging in there myself too, man.
I was going to question the aspect that, hollering about lack of money, but the governor and them spent, the paper said $150,000 to go to Cuba. And now, I guess he was trying to make amends at his trip to go visit the Pope, but he's paying for that himself, but he's not paying for the state police that have to go with him to visit the Pope.
No, he's pulling.
He keeps spending all this money, but he kept hopping about. We're going to have to raise taxes in order to pay for this stuff. And then the final straw that breaks my back, the special sessions of our legislature. Mm-hmm. When they go to special sessions, unless they've changed it, they get paid more than their regular salary because it's not one of the schedules.
Well, they get paid the per diem. The salary's the same. They get paid per diem, so they get paid if they go 10 days. They get paid for 10 days. You get paid for the day they call it in and the day they leave.
They're still getting paid for the stuff that they're supposed to be doing their job to start with. Yeah, that's what gets me.
Well, yeah, because that's a great point. So we went to the legislature session, special sessions last year, and then we go through a regular session, and apparently they didn't do their job because we got to have another special session. And that's what. Let me tell you what's not being talked about either. And John Kennedy brought it up to Edwards. The Medicaid expansion is not free, and it's costing us hundreds of millions of dollars. And everybody keeps talking about, well, this is the best thing we ever did. We're getting money from the federal government. It's costing us money to do that. And I think that's part of the budget problem. And yet, you start saying that we're gonna handle another 200,000 more people on free health care. It's costing somebody something, and it's not just the federal government, it's us. So I believe some of this increase is part of the Medicaid, Medicare expansion. I'm just telling you, to me, that's what it looks like.
I have a question about the healthcare systems. My daughter does not make enough money to qualify for the Obama plan.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, she has to pay the full price on the stuff.
So in other words, she don't have the money to buy the Obamacare plan, right?
Right. She's under.
So what she's doing is
$20,000 a year.
She's just paying the fine, the $695 fine or whatever it is.
I guess that's what it's going to end up being. But I mean, it's a matter of if you don't make enough to qualify for the plan, then why are you getting fined for it?
Yeah.
I think that's another one of the deals that nobody is aware of.
Well, we know this,
especially because they didn't read it before they voted for it.
There's about two. Back on that. Well, and by the way, they just set up a square box and fill in the blank as they go. That's why Pelosi couldn't tell you what was in it. She said, "Pass it, we'll figure out what's in it." But bottom line is, there are people who can't afford it still. Number two, there are people who are getting subsidies. That mean you and me are paying for it. And then there's people like me who can't afford it anymore. That because they priced me out the market, totally priced me out the market. And that's the three groups. They can't buy it. They buying it because we help and pay for it. And then there's a group like me, and there's a bunch of us individuals that we sitting here going, "What is my future now with healthcare? I have no idea. I know what this year is going to provide, and it's going to be tough. But I'm going to have to go make another sale. I got to go make another sale because I got to keep up with what they taking from me."
Well, now my observation. I mean, I'm 64. Got a GED and a little bit of college. I don't see whereas people need all this damn insurance. All they want is medical care when they need it.
Yeah.
I don't see why we can't take the low-income families, especially like my daughter now, that she don't qualify for Obamacare. Why can't we give them a card to where I don't mind paying for poor people's medical care if they're out working a job but they just don't make enough money.
Well,
It's
but
all
we
these
got
damn
it.
welfare people that I don't want to pay their stuff because they ain't working a job because they're getting it handed to them.
Yeah. I get your point, but we have a charity hospital system. It really wasn't that bad. The only thing that hurt it was too many people went to emergency rooms. But, there's a lot of outside clinics now you can walk in if you're willing to pay, and they're really priced right. And there's other ways to do it. The way we're doing it now is totally crazy. I got to take a break. Appreciate the call. When we get back, I want to play Donald Trump on what he thinks about ISIS and terrorism, and it's really an awesome piece that when he was with Hannity on this particular subject. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hickson has it hotline, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline is your way to be part of the program. We'll take a break. Be right back. (666607) Hickson has it hotline. How many people think John Bel Edwards would make a good Republican? Actually, I think he would. When I looked at what some of these Republicans have voted on. Woo! It wouldn't change my issue with him one bit. And my issue is taxes are not going to prosper us. And I'm telling you, the shove down our throat is coming. A lot of temporary sales taxes in the budget. A lot of temporary taxes in the budget. They're trying to make it one big Stelly on steroid swoop, which I still say Stelly was the most deceptive, lying, no-account tax they ever passed, and just totally fooled people and trying to bring it back. That was I'm not saying Vic Stelly was. I think Vic honestly went out there and said what he said, but it was a deceptive tax that never did what it said it would do. And they said, well, we're having budget problems because of Stelly. No. Stelly was what? Well, I heard they said it was up to $1 billion. I never heard that until they started making a spin on it. But Stelly would have never fixed this because you can't fix a spending problem with taxes. Let me say that again. You cannot fix a spending problem with taxes. Just like you couldn't fix a spending problem at your house with another credit card. Ain't happening. You couldn't fix a spending problem at your house with borrowed money. Ain't happening. Can't fix it. You still keep the same spending problem. This stuff is so simple. They complicate it. All right, the Trumpster last night, Hannity. And by the way, and I don't care if you saw the interview or not, I know Sean's kind of soft on a bunch of stuff, but on his response dealing with ISIS and terrorists, Donald Trump, President Trump, really, really ripped this one.
We have evil that lurks around the corner without the uniforms. Ours is harder because the people that we're going against, they don't wear uniforms. They're sneaky, dirty rats. And they blow people up in a shopping center. And they blow people up in a church. These are bad people. When you're fighting Germany and they had their uniforms, and Japan and they had their uniforms, and they had their flags on the plane and the whole thing, we are fighting sneaky rats right now that are sick and demented, and we're going to win.
They are sick and demented. What do you say?
Demented, yes.
Okay. They're sick.
And rats.
They're rats and satanic. Say what they are. Evil people. And our press is mad at Trump because he's for waterboarding and having torture. They will rape, cut the head off your wife and children. Never bat an eye. Blow them up with a bomb. And we got the press mad at Trump because Trump said we need to have torture. We need to bring waterboarding back. And by the way, he also added, though, if my people don't want this, we won't do it.
Which Mad Dog Mattis, the general, has come against.
By the way, he said that, but they didn't pick that up, Brandon.
Yeah.
They picked up that Trump wants torture. And these people in the press who have no clue, just let them kill one of their people. Let them kill one of their family members. Let them blow one of them up on the street. Okay? Just let them do it. They'll change their tune. All these people protesting and against us doing what we're doing at the borders or getting ready to do at the borders because their families hadn't been hit yet. Mine hadn't been hit yet. I don't want them hit. If one of my family members, God forbid, gets shot with a gun, okay, and I had one stab one time, okay, I'm not out there protesting we ought to get rid of knives and slice. I mean, he got sliced with a blade. But if somebody, God forbid, gets shot with a gun, not going to be for gun control. That's mentally insane. Same thing with these terrorists. They decapitating Christians and showing it on Facebook and sending it all over the world. By the way, Trump brought that up to the ABC guy.
David Muir.
Yeah, and David Muir kind of sat there like it went right over the top of his head. Hey, David, what if that was your... Didn't he bring up, and Brandon and I didn't hear the whole thing, he didn't bring up and say, what if that was your family member? He didn't bring that up to David Muir.
Oh, well, I didn't watch the David Muir interview. I watched the Hannity interview, and Hannity brought that up with him, talking about legal immigration, and you got a house and you want to protect your house, and why would you let any visitors inside that you don't know?
It was basically what me and you talked about yesterday was that you just answer the door, let anybody in your house, don't know who they are, let them in, let them come in and eat, sleep in the bedroom with your children, no problem, right? That's what Obama did to us. It's exactly what Obama did to us. And they got a guy like Trump, and I thought what he said dealing with terror, these people are so evil, and the press is standing up for evil. One of the ones at the Women's March, that crazy Looney Tune thing they had last week, we're not going to close the borders, we're not going to build a wall, because their family members hadn't been hit yet. They hadn't been touched yet. That's why they don't understand that. You remember 9/11? By the way, I knew people that I didn't know anybody that was there personally. Okay? Now, Colonel Manus said he was there and some other people I've met through the years, but the fact is I didn't know anybody. But I can tell you what, Brandon, that was one story, because I remember church that weekend and the tears from everybody, including myself. Everybody got touched because, you see, we don't remember anything hitting home like that since Pearl Harbor. And Pearl Harbor was so far away with a lot of people, but we remember it because we were going through a war. But I remember the day that happened, and I remember the weeks and months, and even now, to look back at that, to be attacked right here in the good old United States of America. We've been attacked many times since then. We've seen the terrorist acts all over the United States of America under Barack Obama. We're going to see them probably under Trump because of the people that are here that don't love us. They're in the Sharia law. And they ought to go where Sharia law is practiced, and they can have their peaceful, friendly country. But they choose not to because that's not the goal of some of them. It's to destroy what we have here. And Donald Trump is saying how evil these people are. And, Brandon, it's a matter of time, but we've really already had it here where people cut somebody's head off and do something and show it on Facebook right here in the United States of America. And these people in the press and these people protesting don't even see this stuff. It's a shame. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. All right. By the way, somebody just sent me a quote. You can't drink yourself sober. Austin, think about that. Just like we were talking about the taxes, Brandon, and talking about this other stuff. We're going to tax our way to prosperity. Oh, yeah? Then you can drink yourself sober. If you just have about 10 more drinks, you'll get sober, right? You can't drink yourself sober. I love it. That's a true story. Bob in Bachelor, Louisiana, which, Bob, by the way, I never heard of Bachelor, Louisiana. I haven't.
Well, most people haven't. And unless you're wide awake when you pass through, you'll miss it.
Apparently, I hadn't been through.
We're on Highway 1, halfway between Baton Rouge and Alexandria.
Yeah.
And there's a great fishing place right here called Old River.
Yep, and, I'm very familiar with it. Very familiar with it.
Everybody knows where Old River is. They just don't know where Bachelor is.
Well, my buddy Jade Andrews that I talked about earlier loves to go to Old River. He said he can catch almost 2 fish every time he goes. Him and his buddies.
Yeah, I believe that's about my level of catch too.
I hear you.
The guy that called that was on just before me, or your last caller, was talking about his daughter didn't qualify for Obamacare. She doesn't qualify for the supplements, more than likely.
Yeah.
So she has to pay the full amount. I talk to people all the time about this, and it affected my insurance and my children especially. They have really been hurt by it.
Yep.
All of them they're all grown. They all have children of their own, and they all had insurance. they bought it themselves. It wasn't through a company policy.
Well, no, they like me. If they're like me, they've been devastated.
Right, that's exactly right. One in particular, my number 3 son, had family coverage, and it was costing him $800 a month for his wife and 2 children. Him, his wife, and 2 children. And when all of this went into effect, the following year, his insurance premium went to $1,800 a month, and with a $3,000 deductible.
See, mine's up to. I got me and my wife and 2 kids. I'm at special needs medicine on $2,654 a month with a $3,100 deductible. So I know where you're at. I know where you're going.
So it has hurt everyone, and as soon as they can get rid of it, the happier I'll be.
You know what's sad? You know what's sad though, Bob? You and your family, your 3rd son. If you put us in a pool, we go by, compete and buy through lines. We don't have this problem because we go to work every day and we want to pay our way, and we will pay our way. But this president that I wish would be nameless and his Democrat friends shoved a knife in us. That's what they did to the American middle class. Shoved a knife in the back of us. That's exactly what Mary Landrieu did. It's exactly what these leftist Democrats did.
I agree. And Mary Landrieu was she was despised by myself, my family, my friends, everyone that I could talk to, because when all of this was being voted on, I tried to call her office, and the lines were busy.
No, hey, Bob, I got to go. She shut everything down. She didn't want to hear from you. She kept saying she was thinking about it. She wasn't thinking about it. She made exactly the vote that we thought she would make. Got to go, Bob. God bless. All right, one more break, and we'll come right back. To have you with us. Open Forum Friday, a day you want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about. It's your day. It's an opportunity to be a voice as we rock and roll. By the way, Mitch Landrieu signed into law equal pay for women. Brandon, I want women to make as much money as they can. They keep doing these comparisons, which I don't think there's a big comparison. I think part of this is between you and me, is to strictly create a place for lawyers to crank up the lawsuits. I'm just telling you what I think it is. I know women make a lot more money than me. I'm just Mitch Landrieu, and then once again, everything they do is political. The left. Everything they do is political. They don't give a flip about nothing but the politics of it. And that's exactly what they're doing. Bell Edwards is going to call a special session. It looked like $304 million short on what he would like to spend. Spending problem is never going to change. The big debate's over one-time money, which is funny because if you go back and look at the comments, if you go back and look at the comments through the years and how bad Edwards was, Jindal was, the focus was why they use so much one-time money. This will be the second time in 2 years since Edwards has been governor that they're going to use one-time money. I'm just listen to what they say and watch what they do, and nothing ever changes. Jay Darden, the great Jay Darden, whose ship came in when he sold the Republicans out and knifed them and went along with the Democrats, and I always told you he was a Democrat, said the rainy day fund is going to have to be tapped. Jay was one of the ones talking about the one-time money. House Speaker Taylor Barra has not returned phone calls to the Times Picayune about the topic, but other House leaders said using rainy day money is unnecessary. Cameron Henry, Jefferson Parish, using the rainy day fund would imply that we are anticipating more revenue coming in at some point in the future. That's a great point. You borrowed money, one-time money, saying, okay, this gets us through now. Don't care about next year. Brian, how would you like to go and say, I got the $5,000 to put down on the $30,000 vehicle. Okay, and you go do it. And the car payment comes due. You ain't got the money because you really didn't figure it in the budget, so you don't have it. So you go to your lovely bride, say, hey, baby, I'm going to take $500, $400 or $300, whatever it is. I'm going to take it out of our savings account. And I'm going to pay for it this month. Well, are you going to do that every month? Oh, no. Baby, I'm not going to do that every month. I'm just going to do it this month. 30 days later, car note comes due again. You have not done anything to fix that problem. You had the $5,000 to put down on it. You really didn't have the money to pay the note. So here's the note again. Look, I'm going to do it one more time. And now she's going, well, hold up just a second. Why didn't we plan a little better? Well, no, we'll just do it this one time. Because next month you start, and that's what they're asking. That's exactly what Cameron Henry's saying here. Using rainy day fund would imply that we're anticipating more revenue coming in at some point in the future. You bought this car, you got a note, you knew you had a savings account, some different savings accounts, and you're going to go pull that money out to pay for it, anticipating more money. But you messed up. Brandon, if I told you right now, Brandon, I'm having problems paying my bills, and you say, well, man, you got your house in Lafayette, but you've got a house in Destin. Well, what are you doing with that? Well, I'm paying a monthly note on it. But, dude, you can't pay your bills and you got another house. And you'd probably shake your head every time you walked out and go, I never thought the boy was bright, but I know he's not bright now. But, see, this is what they're saying. Cameron said we need to learn to live within our means. If you're only bringing in X amount of dollars, you cannot buy that brand new truck or brand new boat you bought. And, folks, it's that simple. And don't anybody that tells you, that dang dumb kid and talk show host, he thinks everything's so simple. It was simple till you complicated it. Brandon, your life was simple until you went and get the brand new vehicle that you couldn't afford. You complicated your life. I've done it before, folks. I'm talking from experience. But I'm watching these people do it every year, every week, every month, and come back to you and me because we're the savings account. We're just going to tax them. Once again, Brandon, I want you to pull it up again. What Carbo, John Bell Edwards, his right-hand man, said that they're going to do to us. This is an insult. This ought to make everybody mad what Brandon's about to play. You heard it before, but I want you to associate it with what Cameron Henry's saying and what the legislature and the governor's saying. They're anticipating more revenue. Nobody is predicting more revenue for the state. Nobody. They're predicting it to be worse until oil and gas comes back. But listen what they're saying.
There are no easy decisions at this point, so it's going to be painful no matter what road we take. The decision is how painful do we need to make it on the people of Louisiana. So did you hear that? How much pain we can put on us. So we going through the pain, and let me tell you, if we give them more taxes, we are endorsing exactly what they're doing in the legislature. The first tax they vote on, the legislature is telling us, we taking y'all money and we're endorsing it. Go ahead, Brandon.
So Governor Edwards is meeting with all the legislators right now as they're trying to figure out the special session. Governor Edwards has just said, not but a few minutes ago, he says, quote, next week I intend to issue a call to bring the legislature into a special session. It will run February 13th through the 23rd.
There it is. So they can do what? Listen to what his Carbo said again, Brandon, one more time. Listen closely. What they're going to do, calling a special session to do what? You got it, Brandon? I want to play it again. This is what they're saying.
There's no easy decisions at this point, so it's going to be painful no matter what road we take. The decision is how painful do we need to make it on the people of Louisiana.
Folks, that's their mouth, not mine. There's no easy way. The reason there's no easy way is the example I just gave to y'all with Brandon and his bride in a vehicle they couldn't afford, not even get close to afford it. That's why we're having to make tough decisions, because they don't want to cut spending. They don't want to cut the size of government down. They don't want to take universities and start putting some together. They don't want to do nothing at all to make this state better. They want to keep everything 100% going in the same direction, and the only way they can do it is for you and me to give up more of our tax dollars. You and me live on less. You and me live on less. You and me have less take-home pay. I want you, folks, I'm right on this, and I'm going to stick to it because I'm right. It's like I was right about Jindal. I'm not right I don't mean that as a boasting way. I'm right because it's easy to read the tea leaves. It really is easy to read this. Look at what the guy just said. How much pain, no easy way. Well, of course not. Brandon, if you did what I said with the car, the truck, you put your name on it, then there becomes no easy way, because if you go sell it, it's $10,000 less than what you would have got. You still got to pay a note on it.
A glimpse into the meeting, and this is showing interesting how Democrats and Republicans may be on opposite sides, although the wild card is John Alario and how he has worked with governors in the past, no matter what party affiliation they are. But this is interesting, and these are quotes. Representative Lance Harris asked the question, am I missing something? And Governor John Bel Edwards says, I think you're missing a lot, Lance, as they were talking about the special session and the plans and all that. Those two have been going at it over the past week or two.
Harris has been tough. But this is another thing, Brandon. This is on top of them getting Generals last year through Edwards' first year, $2.5 billion in additional revenue, and it's not enough. I want you to think about it. $2.5 billion, biggest tax increase ever. Not enough. Not even close to being enough, because tell me what's changed. Did they change something at higher ed? Did they change something K through 12? Did they change something at the Department of DOTD? Did they change something with the pension funds that we're $21 billion in a hole on? Did they change? What did they change? And that's what ought to be the argument. So Edwards' $2.5 billion increase in taxes, and he voted for 4 of the first 7 Bobby General budgets. What's the problem? You got John Alario, who voted for every budget. By the way, Alario, I think 2 weeks is too long. People tend to drag their feet if it's too long. Really? They got an 85-day session. They don't do anything to the last 15 days, and they say we ran out of time. I don't want to hear that from Alario. He knows how to play the game. He said it also costs more money. The legislature had budget problems, too, so I don't want to make it an expensive thing. The fewer days we can spend in session, the better. Incredible.
So is it just me, or is there two separate versions of leadership in the Republican Party? You got Lance Harris right now that's in opposition to Governor Edwards, and you have Alario, who has shown that he'll work with John Bel Edwards. Is this separate?
Not only will he work with him, he's a leader for him.
And that's what I'm saying.
Jay Dorn's a Republican. So he's there's two separate. There's the guys that need to have some gonads and stand up to these guys, and then there's the John Alario Republicans, who's a Republican name only. That way, if Edwards would switch to a Republican, it's the name only. The guys aren't changing their stripes, Brandon. They are who they are. So you hit it on the head. We got 2 separate Republicans. We got real Republicans, or conservative, and then we got these fake Republicans who, by the way, in the Senate, Paige Cortez and some of these people, I mean, they're so fake when it comes to being conservative.
So then what I'm asking, then, does the Senate, just forecasting it, does it look like the Senate goes along with what the governor wants, but the House doesn't? Not necessarily under the Speaker of the House, but under Lance Harris's leadership.
We'll see if Taylor Barra can be the tough guy here. He's the Speaker of the House. He has to be the tough guy.
Right.
Lance Harris, God bless him, is out there working hard. Me and Lance had differences before, but at least he's working hard. Speaker Barra, who was put there by the Republicans, needs to be the adult in the room. It ain't John Alario. He's the deal maker in the room. He cuts deals. And when the deals he cut the deals he has cut has never benefited Louisiana. They always benefit him and his buddies. They will never benefit. John Alario will never cut a deal that doesn't benefit himself. It has nothing to do with the state of Louisiana. He's the problem. He should have. If Republicans were really real Republicans, never, ever would they have voted for John Alario. But we don't have. We got real Republicans, and if that's real Republicans, then it's about a middle-of-the-road group at best. All right, folks, all you got to do is be part of the program, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. We'll take a break and be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, John Kennedy State, United States Senator John Kennedy will join us Monday morning. And, yeah, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff going on in the state, Medicaid, Medicare, and how that's hurting us. Also the budget, and also some stuff on a national deal. But, by the way, for people that were upset about Kennedy and he was in the Democrat Party and supported this and abortion issue, Kennedy's co-sponsoring 2 pieces of legislation for Protect Life, the No Taxpayer Funding of Abortion Act and the Life at Conception Act would establish once and for all life begins at conception and guaranteed unborn children constitutional protection under the 14th Amendment. By the way, March for Life today in Washington. Brandon, there is a bunch of people going. So,
thousands from Louisiana alone.
Oh, no. I mean, they had people from some of the school Maddie's at from and people in the community. We had a daddy that has a kid on our little basketball team, and he took his oldest 2 kids, 2 boys. And we got games. And so he just made it straight up. Hey, I think this is important. And this would be something they will remember. He said, 8th grade basketball game, they may never remember. Who can argue with that logic, especially from a dad? And that's what he felt like. I thought that was pretty big.
Now, considering what last week's march was, the women's march last week, because the big issue that came out of it wasn't
I bet you the F word don't come out at all this weekend.
Well, yeah, but the big issue wasn't just the opposition to Donald Trump, but the big issue was abortion rights in last week's. And I remember the build-up to it was huge on Friday. Remember, Inauguration Day was last week, but they were going right to, tomorrow we've got the big marches coming up. I'm just curious of what the national media is going to do with this.
If they cover it, it's going to be minor. They pushed the other one, they covered it, and then they had the after effect. Brandon, we're dealing with the same media that tells us all the lies. By the way, Brandon, and I need to get a call in here, hold it, because you had something with Hannity and Trump on the media and on the press.
Oh, yeah.
So hold that. Let me get Jason in Shreveport. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Moon. I got just a few things real quick.
Yeah.
Recent news, 11 days ago in Africa, the JV team, ISIS, used a female she used her baby as a decoy. She walked into a market and blew the whole market up.
Sick.
That's the JV team right there.
Yeah, that's Sharia. That's the JV team and Sharia law working together.
Right. It's just women and orphans. There's nothing to fear, all right?
Yeah.
But she literally uses the baby as a decoy and blows the market up. And she blows up other Muslims that aren't on their side of the Muslim thinking. And the thinking is crazy over there. Now, another thing I'd like to talk about is Colorado. Colorado has tree huggers. And I'm in the forest.
Hey, we got a few of them here too, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm in the forestry business, so we like to clear cut, replant, thin twice, clear cut, spray. You know, we do it right in Louisiana. We've already been through.
Can I ask you a serious question? Have you ever hugged a tree and don't lie?
I've hugged a tree to get the measuring tape around it right before we cut it down.
I've leaned against one to do something in the woods, but that's another story. Go ahead.
That's right. So in Colorado, they just announced yesterday that over 5 million acres of prime timberland has been killed by the beetle.
Uh-oh.
They've been over there.
I didn't think the Beatles were making a comeback. Oh, the Beatles. All right, I'm with you, man. You caught me off guard.
Right. There's the emerald ash boring beetle. There's the pine beetle. So they don't do any prep. There's no site work over there. They just plant the trees, let them grow, and love their trees over the last 30 years. Well, now the beetles have gotten in there, and they're all dying. There's no way they can harvest it because there's just too much of it. So that's liberal logic. This is some more liberal logic from Colorado versus Louisiana. All right, we got a gas tax, and the governor says we have to increase the gas tax because we're using less fuel because we're getting better fuel mileage cars. So we have to increase the gas tax. But on the other hand, the Democrats saying all these oil pipelines, our country's, we're just using so much oil. It's not right. We're using so much oil. We have to go to electric and hybrid cars. And then on the other hand, they're saying we're using so much less oil. We've got to raise the taxes over double. So what's going to happen, is next year when we buy a new truck for the logging company, we're going to spend $6,000 extra a year in fuel just for that truck. You want to talk about buying a truck and getting an $800 a month note, and then realize you got to pay another $500 a month in fuel.
Yeah. No, look, it's all hypocritical. Right. Edwards, if it moves or breathes, he wants to tax it. And then after he taxes anything that moves or talks, he wants to go back and tax anything that's still sitting there. That's the fact, Jack.
There's a sneaky tax that nobody realizes they passed on Louisiana, okay? If you own timber, and it's pine pulpwood, saw timber, whatever it is, chip and saw, there's actually a severance tax on that.
Yeah, they were ridiculous. Look, I got to go, brother. Thanks for the call. We'll take a break. More of the Moon Griffon Show right after this. A little culture shock. How y'all all welcome Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline if you'd like to be part of the Moon Griffon Show. Hey, folks, if you're going out to eat tonight, why not go to Shucks? I tell you what I'll do. You go to Shucks, and I they told me I can't guarantee anything, but I promise you it's going to be one of the best experiences you have. Not only the atmosphere as good as the food, and after you have all the atmosphere and the fun and you're waiting around and you're visiting with people and you're going to eat, then the fun really starts. Because at Shucks, it's happening, and it's happening all the time. Tell you what, if somebody wants to put me to the test, I will let you buy them for me. If you go to Shucks and you like char-grilled oysters, and you go to Shucks, that'll be the best char-grilled oysters you ever put in your mouth. They are absolutely delicious. I've seen, Brandon's one of them that don't eat oysters, sit there and eat oysters with spinach on it. I've seen I mentioned his name, Brett Bouillon. With me and Brett and the family and all that went out to eat weekend before last, and he doesn't eat seafood. He ate a half a dozen char-grilled oysters, and when you go out there, you've got to eat the seafood ones. They got to eat the Supremes, they're called. Check this out. A char-grilled oyster with shrimp and lump crab meat in it. I am not making it up. It's one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth. And they're known for oysters, and the raw oysters are really good and salty. But let me tell you something. At Shucks, you're going to enjoy the meal. You're going to enjoy the atmosphere for great Cajun cuisine. And if you don't live in this area and you come around this area, it's worth the trip to Shucks. I've talked to many, many people from Alexandria to Monroe to Shreveport and all the way through that went by because we told them to go, and not one of them didn't say it was one of the best times that they've ever had and some of the best food they ever put in their mouth. Shucks. Actually, a little hint. My general manager, who hadn't really been out there, we took him. He said some of the best food he ever put in his mouth. We happen to have Senator Cassidy. We're going to have him with us, and I do want to talk to him about the health care thing. That was what I was disappointed in. We will have him on at 10:05 on Monday to 10:30 with me. So we're going to visit with him about his new plan, and maybe he's going to tell me something I didn't know. But I read everything I could read. I didn't like it. I don't like keeping Obamacare for any state. And he's got a replacement bill, so I do want to listen to him, and without ripping him. But I don't think it's a good deal. But maybe he'll convince me. So let's hear him on Monday, and we'll go from there. That's all I can tell you. I want to hear what he has to say. And Bill may come in here and say, "Hey, here's what you don't know about it, Moon," and I'm willing to listen to it. Let me hear what he has to say. But any state that can keep Obamacare is bad in my book. We need to get rid of that mess. Oh yeah, how y'all all? Welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. By the way, folks, you hear me bragging about Acadian Total Security. Why? I have it in my house. And they're protecting my home. They're protecting my children. They're protecting my beautiful bride. They're protecting what we put our investment in, our home. Your home is everything. And if you have a home, and I'm not just talking about the physical structure, but the whole home with God, family, your children, you want to be protected by the best. And Acadian Total Security, in my opinion, is the best and the best way we could have gone. You think about Acadian Ambulance Service. That's who these people are. They've been protecting people and helping people for a long time. Now they're helping people protect their homes. So why go anywhere else? Residential, business, they handle medical alerts, fleet management. They do it all. Acadian Total Security. And folks, when you see the technology and the security system they have today at Acadian Total Security, you're going to be blown away. It's nothing for them. It don't cost you anything to get them to come out, go through your home, let them customize a security system for your home. Your home's going to be different than mine, okay? You need maybe more than what I've got, maybe less. That's what's great about working with them. Man, they put down everything we can do. We figured out what we can afford, and then we figured out what would be best for our situation. That's what Acadian Total Security is all about. That's what Acadian Ambulance has been all about. Acadian Total Security. Trust me. Go to AcadianTotalSecurity.com. AcadianTotalSecurity.com. Here's a toll-free number. 855-222-3426. That's 855-222-3426. Why go anywhere else? Start with the best. People that really people you can depend on to protect your home, which means your property and your loved ones. AcadianTotalSecurity.com.